Hello everyone, welcome back to another week here with Creators Call here on YouTube. My name is Marcy. I'm delighted to have you joining me today. Today we're going to be piggybacking off of last week's video where I pulled out a collage that I had done on the back of a paper sack, and I went ahead and put some backing on it so that we can cut this up and make tags and pockets and belly bands and things out of it. Now this is part of not really a series of videos, but just from time to time I'm going to have a playlist called Abandoned Projects, and what I want to do is pull out projects that I tried early on when I was just playing around, and then I just put them aside and never finished them, or I got overwhelmed and I didn't know what to do, so I just stopped working on them. So this is part of the Abandoned Projects, the collaged paper sack. That was last week's video. It's linked down below. Okay, so today we're going to attempt to cut this down now into usable pieces. I've already tried to put it in my paper trimmer, and it is too tall from top to bottom. So I need to hand cut it first down into manageable pieces, and then I'm going to put it in my paper cutter, paper trimmer over here, and cut it into sizes that we can actually use in journals. You know what to do right here. Go ahead and find yourself a snack, a drink, and a comfy chair, and then we'll meet right back here. We'll start cutting this apart. Right, so the first thing we want to do is cut this into some manageable sections so that I can run it through my paper trimmer. My paper trimmer is going to be over here off to the side. I'm not going to bring it to the table because I've noticed that when I try to cut with it on camera where you can see, it's really, really loud in the microphone. So it's kind of annoying, but you'll see what I'm doing because I'll be working here and then just cutting off screen and coming right back. So first things first, we're going to cut this down into quarters. I'll try to get as straight as I can, but I just folded it to make a crease down the middle. And then I'm going to fold it again. Let's see how wide it is first. How tall are you, bud? So this is about 22 inches. Okay, so that's good. So if I cut it into 11 and a half down the middle, and that means I can make tags and pockets that have a 5.5 inch measurement. So the tags could be 5.5 inches high and pockets could be 5 or 5.5 inches wide. So that is perfect. I'm trying not to shake the camera. Now, this is not my own invention. This is done by a lot of people, but this is my first time actually trying to do this. I would not call myself an expert at collage by any means. Sometimes you see folks that are good at collage take these, it's called a master board, I guess, and it's your basic design, and then they'll copy them. They'll scan it and copy it over and over to use in other art projects. And I'm not going to do that with this because I was just starting out and I don't really feel like that it's cohesive. Like my layering was all going in one direction and things like that. So it's all a learning process. I would love to know the history of collage, just kind of how it got started, and then just the basic technique. I did try to look on YouTube for some basic collage videos, but they don't really. I just kind of want to know, here's what you do and how you do it, and here's how to make it look good, and that's not what they are. So they're coming from a different perspective, as if I already knew how to do this, which I don't. Okay, so here's my first piece. I've got 4 pieces now. They measure roughly 11 by, I have my mat upside down. 11 by 18 or so. So as you can see, here's where I cut, but on this other side, it's pretty jagged. It's pretty ripped up there. Not ripped up, it's just uneven from where all the paper's hung over the edge. And of course I hand cut the paper sack, so maybe the trick would be to take the paper sack and cut it down first and then have 4 usable pieces. I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and trim the edges of all of these off camera, and I will be right back. Well, that took a little bit of doing, but I got it done. It was still too tall this way from one end to the other. You can't even see how big they are, but still too tall to fit in my trimmer, so I ended up having to fold them again. But I got it done, so we have relatively straight sides now all the way around. And now we can start trimming tags and pockets. So I would say, first of all, you got to figure out which way is up. And the easiest way to cut this is from the back. Let me get where you can actually see where I'm working from. All right, so we want to make our tags. Let's see how tall this really is now, actually. So it's now 9 1/4-ish. And then this way it is 8. Okay, so 4 by 4 1/4, I guess, is how we will want to do this. And my mat is still upside down. The numbers are upside down, so they're going backward. But anyway, so I would say that we want to make them 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Well, I'd said 5 1/2 because 5 1/2 is a nice height for a nice width for a pocket and nice height for a tag. So maybe I want to do them at 5. This is 18 long by, what did I just say, 9 1/4. So I'm trying to figure out, so that would make them 4 1/4 wide, which is a little wide for a tag. I want to do a couple of these as tags and a couple of these as pockets. So I'm trying to figure out, you probably already have it all figured out in your little heads. Let me just mark these at 5 1/2 high first, and then we can worry about the width, see what looks good. Usually about 3 or 3 1/2, but that, I could do 3. I could do them 3 inches wide going the other direction because this is 9 1/4, so that might work. So 5 1/2 times 2 is 11 times 3 is what, 16 1/2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep, 16 1/2. So that leaves me a really skinny piece here at the end, but that could be like a tuck along the edge of the page. So let me cut that. Actually, let me mark a couple of these because I want to maximize my cutting time. And I want to do these at 3 inches. So 1, 2, 3. Can you see me marking? I can't see inside my camera right at the moment, so I can't tell. 3. Okay, so that leaves this last one only about, this last strip about 2 inches wide. So it must be a little bit wider on one end than the other. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. I'm going to try to get this really where you can see what I'm doing. There, better. Okay, so marking at, again, I'm reading upside down. Marking at 5 1/2 because we want these 5 1/2 high and or wide. 11. You can tell this isn't straight. Look at that. If I line it up on here, this is not straight. Okay, so there's my 11-inch mark, 16 1/2. And then going the other way, this is going to be interesting. I feel like I should cut from this side 3, 6, roughly 2, but it's going to run out of room down there. So I may only cut 2 sections here and then evaluate how to cut this piece, actually. So let's do that first. It's hard because you don't really have a straight edge to start with. You just have to do your best guess. of what straight is, so not very easy. So that gives me a skinny tag and two 3 by 5.5 inch tags. So we're doing tags right now. So that's interesting. Look how those turned out. So this piece that's left over is not quite 8. Oh yeah, 8 right here by 6 3/4. So I can go with like a 4 inch wide. I think I need to straighten up this edge though. There we go. Inch wide this way, 4 inches, 4 inches. So they could be pockets, so we could just cut off the part we don't like, which I would say on this one is on this side of it. So then we could do like a 4 by 5.5 this way, and this one's pretty basic, and I'm probably going to cut off this piece here, 5.5. Okay. So that now is a pocket. These are tags. Tags, pocket. Pocket. Okay, on to the next one. I'm going to do basically the same thing. Well, obviously I am because I marked it out, but you know what I'm doing. Let's see what we get. Okay, I'm going to cut a few of these into tag shapes really quick so we can try decorating. And I'm going to put the thumb notch here so that things can be pulled in and out of these pockets. This is the part where my dog disappears. Let's do these first. I think I mentioned before too, I like to round the corners at the top a little bit. I'm going to put this on my table because it's easier on my hand, but I hope it doesn't shake the camera too much. Apologies in advance if it does, but we must preserve the hands. They have to last me till I'm old. I was going to do this one with the scallop, but it kind of looks like someone took a bite out of it. I have this old one here. It's a 1 1/4 inch. It's one of the first ones I ever got when I first started doing paper crafting, you know, scrapbooking and stuff. So it's a tank. I trust it on this one because it's so heavy that the paper is so thick, and this is such a big, heavy punch that I know it won't break. Some of these others, the ones that are this style, especially this is Paper Studio, so it feels a little more sturdy than some, but you know, just the basic ones, the other brands, they don't feel very sturdy. This one's Marvy. We'll see how it does. I brought over this oval because I like sometimes the longer and shallower thumb notch. Okay, so that's better. We're gonna not use the scallop because it looks like somebody bit it. Moving on. Let's see, I'm only going to do like 3 of them right now because this is very intense. They're very thick. So let's pick some that we really, really want to decorate. That one's kind of cool, isn't it? I don't think I want to sit here and punch all of these and have you, I mean, I wouldn't do it on camera anyway. I would stop, but it's going to take me a while. This one's cool, that one's cool. So let's do those 2 pockets. And then let's pick a couple tags. What do we want to do for tags? This way you can see what we got. This one could go that way. And then here's what we have on the back for writing space. It's upside down that way, the numbers are. But this way it looks better, I think, because of this. Maybe not. Yeah. Let's see, who do we want to make into a tag? That one's kind of pretty, isn't it? Tag, we're going to do that one. That one's got, wow, the way that cut, that's pretty much lined all the way. Probably do that one. It's interesting how the backs turned out on all of these too. The fronts and the backs. Let's see. I like the looks of this one too. It's pretty neutral. I keep getting out of frame. Sorry guys. And then, like I said, these can be side tucks on a page. Or some of these can be really skinny, narrow tags. So let's do that skinny one. Or it could be a short tuck on the page. Who knows? So really quick, I'll do this and be right back. Okay, I'm back. And what you really can't tell from that last segment, between that segment and this one, is that it's actually been about a week. And here's why. I got my pockets and my tags cut out, and I was filming that particular segment late at night. Well, not late, but in the evening. And I don't have a lot of brain power and creativity in the evening anyhow. And so I looked at these, and some of them were just so bright, like this one, you know, just all of this. And I just looked at them, and my creative side of my brain just kind of went on vacation. It said, nope, we're not doing this. My logical brain said, no, we need to finish the video. And my creative brain said, nope, I'm done for the day. I just got really overwhelmed. They were so bright and it was late. My brain was tired and it just checked out. But that was good. And the reason that was good was because it gave me a little bit of time to figure out how to handle these, what I wanted to do to maybe really decorate them and make them look nice. So I came up with a few options. What I'm wanting to do is push back some of this really bright color. This one's not too bad. It's fairly neutral. You know, that one's not as bad as as some of them, but especially like here where we've got this bright piece, and here it was just so bright I just couldn't see using it in anything that I make. So that gave me some time to consider how I wanted to tone down some of that color. So the first thought I had was paint, just using your basic acrylic paint. The second option I came up with was to maybe use some type of tissue paper, and in this case I'm going to try some pattern tissue because it has that tan color, and I think it'll just kind of maybe make them look a little more vintage. And then the third option I came up with is napkin, and what I'm using is not the top layer of the napkin. These are the back layers that you take off and remove when you're trying to decoupage with the printed layer of napkin. But these are really useful for other things, and in this case I thought I would push back the color. Two of these options require Mod Podge, so I went ahead and did that off camera, and I will show you. So here's one where I just used the pattern tissue and put it on top, and I think it adds a little bit of an interesting element. It does tone down the color quite a lot. Now this is pretty obvious, so I suppose if you really wanted to, you could still go over it with some paint or something to kind of still lighten it up, but it really toned down the bright pieces in the background, and I think that turned out really cute. The second one was with the napkin layer. Now I did get a couple little holes in here, but I'm not too worried about that because for this particular project, since I'm going to add focal points, I don't think it'll matter that the napkin's not completely intact. You know, these little holes will just add character. So that was how this one turned out with the napkin piece. And then I first used some acrylic paint. What I was using up, or trying to use up, was the acrylic paint that I had made for my Vintage Lady journal. Remember I painted those pages and they were brown tan? Well, I had taken this leftover acrylic white paint and I had added some of the dye that you use to fill up your dye, to fill up your distress ink pads. I had used, I think, Vintage Photo, but you know, for the distress ink refills. And it's gone green. It's not white. Now, didn't really expect that to happen, but it kind of adds an interesting tone. It's not terrible. It's just not the creamy white I was looking for. So I went ahead and did another one in white. So we're going to take a minute and try all of these applications. So first things first, let's Mod Podge, put some of this Mod Podge. Now this is my homemade blend of the 2 parts glue to 1 part water. And today I had to make up some more, and I'm using the Dollar Tree all-purpose glue. Last time I used Elmer's and it works great. But this is the Dollar Tree brand, so we'll see if it works just as well as the Elmer's. You're supposed to use an all-purpose glue, not the school glue. I don't know why, I just read that somewhere, so I'm going with it. Let's see. Let's do this one. All right, so just lay down your layer of adhesive, whatever you're choosing to use. And today, I think on this time around, since I used pattern tissue on a pocket, I'm going to use pattern tissue on the tag. And I'm going to use this piece right here because it's smaller and I think it'll fit on there very nicely. And then we can just kind of make it curve around and cover up all those bright sections. Oops, gotta get the diamond. Oop. One thing about these tags, they are very wrinkly. Because of all the layers of paper and the layers of glue that are very thick and they're super wrinkled. They do not lay flat. So I suppose at the end of all this, you could iron it or lay it under some books or just go with it as it is. I haven't decided yet what I will do. Okay, there's the one with the pattern tissue. And then let's do the napkin layer here. I forgot to get out my wet wipe. Hold on, I've got to get my fingers wet. I have my jar over here for the water to dip my brushes into, so I'll just get my napkin wet and wipe my fingers off with that. Okay. So here is our layer of pattern, or of napkin. So it's going to add a few more wrinkles to the Mod Podge to the sealing process. Can't say it. Anyway, it's going to add a few more wrinkles to the top layer because of the decoupage glue, but I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I think we got it. Look at that. See, it just kind of tones it down just enough so it's not so bright. I think that's exactly what I want right there. Now what I'm going to do is cut this napkin a little bit. And then we'll lay these aside to dry and we'll work on our other ones. Oh wait, I still have to paint the other one, don't I? So I'm going to lay that aside over here. And this one. Okay, So for this one, we will just put on a layer of acrylic paint, and I'll show you what I did so that it's a little more opaque. This one, so that the white wasn't so thick, you could still see the pattern through there. What I did was first I brushed all this on, and then I took some of it right back off with a wet wipe. Actually, I'm going to try it with a paper towel here. Forgot to get my wet wipes back out. Okay. Now I have not, none of these ideas are original to me. I think I mentioned that in the first half of the video, but they're just some fun ways that you can play around. Let me put that in there. And then with the wet, it needs to be wet. So I'm going to get it just slightly wetter. Slightly more wet. Okay. Then you just come back over it lightly, go over it, and just drag the wet part of your paper towel through it, and then it just kind of brings through enough of the pattern so you can see it, but it still pushes back all that bright color, and as it dries it'll look more like the other one. So these are drying now. I will wipe this up and come right back. This is what we have after these pieces have dried. So this is the one with the paint. This is the one where the napkin laid down. And then this is the one with the pattern. I'm going to come back in the next video next week and show you what I've made with these. Now I've already recorded it, but this video got so incredibly long that I decided to cut it into 2 parts. So next week we'll do the decorating and you can see what we made. I thought I'd end this video here, so it's more instructional on how to kind of push back those crazy wild colors if you have something that's too bright, and I hope that you learned something from it today. And then next week we will come back and decorate up the pockets that we have ready. And it was a lot of fun. I wish I could give you a sneak peek, but I'm going to keep you in suspense. So let's go ahead and close with our quote of the day. Today we're going to close with a quote from George Washington. It has absolutely nothing to do with our project, but I think it's good advice. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence. True friendship is a plant of slow growth and must undergo and withstand the shocks of adversity before it is entitled to the appellation. George Washington. I think that's really good advice for us to remember. In this day and age, it's easy to say that you're friends with somebody, to act like your friends are friendly, or to presume upon a relationship, maybe a level of intimacy or trustworthiness that actually isn't there. I know as my girls were growing up, I definitely had to counsel them from time to time because they would just say, well, we're friends. And I would have to remind them that their friend wasn't really acting like a friend. Of course, with texting and social media and everything, it's so easy to give the impression that you're friendly or that you are a true friend, but really there's no basis for it. So I really like this quote from George Washington that to have a true friendship, it takes time and it has to go through a lot before you really understand that those people are your friends. So hopefully that will give you a little word of wisdom to pass on to your kids or grandkids or whomever, and to keep for yourself. So with that, folks, I'm going to close. And until next week, I want you to be inspired and do something creative today. Bye-bye.